Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
And welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show for December 12th. I'm Jay Crawford. We're here for the next 30 minutes to talk all things Browns-Bears. One of the things you'll have to watch for on Sunday, can the Browns do a better job of stopping the run and getting Myles Garrett back on track? By some stats, last Sunday was Myles' worst game of the season. We'll dive into that. Bull.
I'm Adam the Bull, and the Browns have had some quarterbacks have a good game in the past, but it's often been followed up by a clunker. How can the Browns and Shedeur Sanders avoid that from happening against the Bears on Sunday? G.
Harold Fannin Jr. been balling. We'll see what he does this week. Shedeur Sanders has a little bit of a connection with him. Does Harold Fannin Jr. continue to be the number one target? We'll see how it works. Jason?
It's the holiday season. If you've got shopping to do or lights to hang, don't even bother watching the game Sunday. We're going to tell you what happens before it happens with pre-written headlines. Mikey.
Yeah, the Titans ran crazy on the Browns defense last week. None of us saw this coming. The Titans had the worst run offense in the entire league. Chicago comes into this matchup with the top 3 graded run offense. Can the Browns slow them down? We'll dive into that, but let's start with the quarterbacks, Jay.
Yeah, and Mike, I think that matchup is going to decide the game on Sunday, and we'll talk more about that later. But to Bull's headline at the top of the show, if you look at quarterback play, really in the Kevin Stefanski era, you've had some great Baker Mayfield, and you've had some head-scratching Baker Mayfield. Same for Joe Flacco, same for Jameis Winston. The question is, how do they put the brakes on that trend from happening again this weekend with Shedeur Sanders, who easily had his best game of the 3 starts as a pro in defeat last week against the Titans? Bull, we'll start with you.
Yeah.
How do they stop the bleeding on those bad performances after good performances?
I do think, and you brought up how that's happened before, I think the last few years in particular, part of that, in addition to the quarterback play mostly being bad by the Browns the last couple of years, has also been the talent around the Browns quarterbacks has not been good, and that obviously contributes to a lack of consistency. I think, although at the end of the game, the Browns fell behind and Shedeur Sanders had to pull them back within 2 points, generally the way to avoid a quarterback having a disastrous game is not asking a young quarterback to do too much, even though he was able to handle it last week. And a Bears offense that has been extremely opportunistic, they are averaging more than 2 takeaways per game, which is crazy. You don't want to be in a situation where you become one-dimensional. So the Browns staying balanced and staying at third and reasonable instead of third and long, and not falling too far behind. I mean, those things are kind of obvious, but that will give Shedeur Sanders a much better chance to follow up what he did last week. It's going to be hard to play better than last week.
Especially when you consider the weather.
The opponent, all of that.
Yeah,
but
right.
Can he be close to what he was last week? That would be pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Don't overthink this. The answer is pretty simple. The Browns quarterbacks just weren't very good. So that's what we were talking about it on the YouTube show. It's what leads to this Jameis is on his 4th team, and you know what he is. He's going to give you some dazzling games, and he's going to give you some horror shows. And Baker, when he was here early in his career, was inconsistent. That's just who they are as quarterbacks. So you're going to get those type of performances. Who's Shedeur? I have no idea. We have 3 starts. We'll find out if he is in that young guy, inconsistent, spends 10 years in the league on 4 teams, or he's out in the league in 3 years. I don't know. So that's still to be determined. I agree with what you said about stay in front of the chains. The worst thing you can do with this offense, with any offense in the NFL, but particularly this offense, is put him in bad situations of 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, 3rd and 13.
Right.
Because the linemen can't get lined up in the right spot, false start, or illegal formation, and now you've gone from 2nd and 6 to 2nd and 11. Like, that's what you have to avoid. But just in terms of how do you stack consistent performances together, well, that depends on the talent of the quarterback, and I have no idea what Shedeur is going to do.
Yeah, I think I'll piggyback off that, and I totally agree with that. You know, a lot of consistency with quarterbacks is the difference between a great quarterback and a mediocre quarterback is the great quarterbacks have less bad games. They have more consistency. They turn the ball over less. They understand what they need to do in the game and understand the flow of the game. And I thought he played a much better game in context of understanding what he needed to do. He needed, you know, when he needed to scramble and it wasn't anything in watching the film, he scrambled and got the yards. When he needed to play on time and get to his, you know, third step and just throw the football, he did it. When he needed to check down, he had one interception that was a bad interception. He talked about it. He said, you know, we were stagnant a little bit. I wanted to make a play. How I would see whether or not he's progressing is if you're in the same type game this week and the offense is stagnant, what do? Do you learn from your mistake from last week and say, let me live the fight another day, or figure out what the next answer to the test is rather than forcing it? So for me, he's not going to play perfect every single week, and he's not going to throw for 300 every single week. But can he play better than he did last week and throw for less yards? Yes. Because there's other things that you could do as a quarterback that lead to winning other than throwing for a bunch of yards.
I think a lot of it comes down to expectations, and I don't think there's anybody here that expects Shedeur to mirror the numbers against this Bears defense on the road in even worse weather that he put up last week against a bad Tennessee team. So let's start by sort of tempering expectation and enthusiasm. If he does that against Chicago in this weather, we absolutely have something here. And I know that there's still 3 more games but I get a lot closer to thinking that we have something here if he can do that again. I think the best thing the Browns offense can do for him is just play complementary, not football, but offense. Come out and establish the run. Make sure that your offensive line understands that you're going to a dogfight. We're going to run the ball. That's what you do in December in Chicago.
Make them tackle when it's 20 below zero.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And with Quinshon Judkins is a guy who takes a pound of flesh. With a guy like him, it can be death by 1,000 paper cuts. Every time he hits that defense in sub-zero wind chill, it's going to hurt more and more and more as the day goes on. The absolute number one thing they have to do before they can start thinking about win is establish the run. Take the pressure off Shedeur Sanders. Don't put him in a position where he has to throw 3 touchdown passes. I think 18 points could win this game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. Just move the ball, to your point, and you echoed it, stay on schedule. 1st and 10, 2nd and 7, 3rd and 3 or 4, first down. Move the chains. Come into this game thinking this. If you get 3 scoring drives in this game and your defense plays up to the level we think they can, you're in this football game. I'm not going to say you're going to win it. But I'm going to say you're definitely you give yourself a chance.
It will be interesting if the defense plays terribly again this week. We're going to be saying, man, Malik Collins was a bigger deal than we thought.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think some of us are already saying that.
Yesterday,
But yeah, especially against the run.
Yeah.
All right, next up, Caleb Williams is a guy that likes to hold the football. In fact, statistically, he holds the ball longer than any other quarterback in the NFL. So when you get that tidbit, you're thinking, oh, wow, Myles, 3 sacks from the record. He could really pin his ears back and get after it. But then you add this fact to the mix, and you might start rethinking that. Caleb doesn't get sacked a lot. He's not a guy that gets put to the ground a whole lot, even though he holds the ball longer than all other quarterbacks. By some metrics, Myles had his worst game Sunday. He had 1 pressure, which is a 4% pressure rate. That's the worst that he's had all season long, tied for the lowest. How do we make sure that doesn't happen again this week against Chicago?
First and foremost, it starts with stopping the run. You look at what Pollard had last week. Anytime you let him get 160 yards, 100, almost 200 yards as a team, you're in trouble because now you shorten the game. And like my coach always said, I don't know nobody that's ever got a sack when they're getting off double teams on run plays. And one person in history got a sack doing that.
Well, you can't get a sack when the ball's out of the quarterback's hand.
Yeah, you can't do that either.
You get a tackle for loss, but you can't get a sack.
So the goal is to shut the run down, and then you can get into some things where you can now rush the passer. But the first and foremost is stopping the run because, 2nd and 3 is hard to stop because now you get the 3-step game, the screen game. It's very simple. So Myles Garrett, in order for them to be able to get after the quarterback, they got to do a much better job in the run game. I think they're a little embarrassed last week against the Titans that came in and really, I thought they controlled the line of scrimmage, Jason.
And the Bears run it much better than the Titans do for the season. I think the Bears are averaging like 185 rushing yards.
Too.
So, yeah, what we said about the Browns, make them tackle, well, the same is true from the Bears side of the ball. Give it to DeAndre Swift and make the Browns tackle. In terms of Myles, one of the things that I've heard about him for years is just run through the gap that he vacates because he's looking for sacks. Guy's got nothing else to play for. What's he got to play for? True. Defensive player of the year and sacks. And more years than not, that's all that's left by the time you get to December for him. So, yeah, I mean, how do you if you're the Bears, how do you slow Myles? Just run right at him. Yeah. And in terms of the Browns, how do you make sure it doesn't happen again? Boy, I agree with the Malik thing. I think I dismissed that at first.
Yeah,
and I thought, man, how can Malik Collins be the piece that holds this whole thing together? But you can go back. Who was it? We had Brian Hoyer that talked about when they lost Alex Mack to the broken leg, it changed the entire offense. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you lose the center, now suddenly you can't run the ball. You lose the defensive tackle. You can't stop the run.
Yeah, the lines operate as a unit, not as individual. Yeah. And I think we saw that with Malik being out. Hopefully they can figure out some answers to that problem this weekend, Bull.
Yeah, I mean, Malik Collins, I didn't think it would be as impactful. I still think I'll still live with the possibility that it's a one-game anomaly, but if it happens again, and it's more likely to because, as you guys have said, they're playing a much better team and a much better running team, then it's a bigger deal. I mean, Malik Collins is what? Their fourth best defensive player behind Myles and Ward and Schlesinger. He's probably their fourth best player. I mean, he was, he was really the heart and soul. He was leading the league in sacks by a defensive tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. So he was we've been looking for somebody to help Myles Garrett, and I think his presence in the middle not only helped stop the running game, it also made it easier for Myles Garrett because it was just you had to worry about the middle of the defense more than you ever had before against the Browns.
I think all of what you guys say is absolutely dead on. Myles Garrett touched on something in postgame last week, saying you have to earn the right to pass rush. And what he means by that is you have to put the defense in situations where they have to throw the ball.
The offense.
The offense, I'm sorry. And they never did that last week.
Right.
They never put Tennessee in the situation where they had to drop back and throw. So that gave Myles fewer chances to get to the quarterback. If I'm Jim Schwartz this week, here's what I tell him. You're 3 sacks shy of the record. There are 4 games to play. Forget Sunday. You're not going to get any sacks Sunday. Of those last 3 games, you've got Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, and Aaron Rodgers. There should be 3 sacks in there.
I'd say so.
So, I mean, you've got a 40-year-old quarterback and 2 guys that drop back 40 times a game. You're going to get opportunities in those last games. What worries me about Myles is his December has always been the worst. His last quarter has always been the worst 4 games of his season. And that's probably swirling in his head, too. Stop the run, and you'll have chances to get after the quarterback. If you don't stop the run, you're coming home with another
right.
race.
And the Bears are a team that they don't want to throw the ball a lot.
They don't.
Especially
Sunday.
Their success is predicated on turnovers, short fields, and running the ball.
Absolutely.
And if you get them out of that comfort zone, it puts you in great shape.
Taking a break. When we come back, we're going to debate tight ends in this football game. We know what Harold Fannin is. He's had a great start to his season. But what about Colston Loveland? Which tight end has the brighter future? We discuss that next. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. One thing to look for on Sunday will be the play of a couple of really good standout young tight ends. Colston Loveland for the Bears. I believe he was taken 10th?
10th overall.
First
10th
tight
overall.
end.
First tight end off the board. Having a nice year. Harold Fannin taken much later, 3rd round pick by the Browns, and has been far more involved. He's been a bigger piece to the Browns offense. Yeah. But which of these 2 guys do you think has the better career long term?
Well, I'm kind of biased. I ain't gonna lie, man. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to the Kent McKinley Bulldog. He's a Mac guy, Bowling Green. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta go with Harold Fannin Jr. And this, Colston Loveland is a terrific player. The thing I like about Harold Fannin Jr. the most is, at this point, he's been asked to do a lot on the football field in terms of his formation, move into fullback, moving around. They split him out wide sometimes. And he's a terrific pass catcher. He has to work on his blocking, but blocking is a part of something that comes along with any tight end. But for me, I just love the way he played the game. And by the way, when he get the ball, he's a load to bring down. I think some of the best plays Shedeur Sanders made last week was finding Harold Fannin Jr. After he got done blocking and chip release and getting him the football in open field and making these guys tackle him. Yeah. Jason talked about it with the weather. That's going to be important. So get the ball in his hands in space, make the little smaller defensive backs tackle him. But I think he's tremendous.
I don't think I can give even a fair answer to this because I haven't really seen Colston Loveland play in the NFL. I'm not watching the Bears regularly. The Bears feel like I don't even know if I've watched the Bears at all. Maybe 1 or 2 games, part of it. Like, you look at the numbers head to head, obviously Fannin's got better numbers, but the Bears are winning, and Colston Loveland is part of a much deeper offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You could say, well, Harold Fannin has to deal with maybe better coverage, but he's a tight end. It's not like you're putting the best corner on him. Whereas Colston Loveland, he's got to share targets a lot more. You could see he's got almost half the targts that Harold Fannin does.
And more, and they got a lot of receivers.
They're both having impressive rookie seasons. I'll say Harold Fannin just because I think he's awesome. But to be fair, I don't know enough. Colston Loveland was drafted higher, so you'd think he'd be better. But hey, the Ravens drafted 2 tight ends one year. The guy they drafted in the 3rd round, I think, or maybe 4th, Mark Andrews, is way better than the guy they drafted in the 1st round.
Yeah,
so
you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, for the value, I think it's Fannin because of where they got him.
Value is not even close.
Question.
Yeah. For upside, I mean, Loveland got off to a slow start this year, but I think all of his touchdowns have come in the last 6 weeks. So he's really starting to develop a chemistry with Caleb Williams. So upside, I would say Loveland, but value, I would say Fannin just based on where the Browns got him.
3 good rookie tight ends, by the way, in this draft, because Tyler Warren's really been the best of them all with the Colts.
From just a value standpoint, I mean, how can you not love what you're getting from a 3rd-round draft pick?
Oh, yeah, steal.
And to echo what you said, I mean, I'm biased.
Right.
In 2 ways. I'll tell you why I'm biased. Bowling Green, of course, and Loveland's a Michigan man.
Yeah.
So,
He's
I will accept Michigan players when they play for the Browns.
Right.
Otherwise.
Now, when Julius Peppers leaves, he's dead to me.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I don't really have much use for the Michigan guys once they leave Cleveland. I will root for them like crazy when they're here. But so yeah, I look at Loveland. I remember he used to dink Ohio State quite a bit.
Yep.
So I didn't like him. So I'm just going to come out and say it like you. I haven't seen a lot of him.
Yeah.
But when I've watched the Bears, I haven't said, "Wow, this guy is a difference maker." And that's exactly what I say about Harold Fannin. I think he's going to have the better career. All right, let's talk about the run game of the Chicago Bears, depending on the metric you look at. I think it's safe to say they're a top run game in the NFL. Mikey found some metrics that say they're the 2nd best run game.
In terms of total yardage per game, they are second best. Success rate, they're 3rd best. So pick and choose which one you want to look at.
Safe to say they're one of the better run games, and it's obvious that the Browns, despite this year playing very well against the run at times, just laid an absolute egg against Tennessee last week, a team that isn't known for running the football like they did. What has to happen for what happened on Sunday to not happen again this Sunday? How do we stop that?
Gang tackling, no missed tackles, and up front. Listen, I go back. We talked about Malik Collins, Mason Graham, and Mike Hall Jr. are going to have to be better. Shelby Harris is one of those guys in that mix. They're going to step it up because the front is where you stop the run. Linebackers like Schlesinger and Devin Bush will come clean it up. But the one thing I noticed with the Tennessee Titans changed the line of scrimmage. Usually when the Browns are stopping the run, they're playing on the opposite end of the line of scrimmage in the backfield. You want to at least get your heels in 2 yards past the line of scrimmage to make those running backs have to bounce and not declare. You saw the pile moving. You saw Pollard getting downhill and falling forward for 3 yards. It just has to be a better concerted effort, knowing what type of game this is. And I think the 30-mile-an-hour winds and it'll feel like minus degrees in Chicago, Jason. So to me, you got to know the run is coming, and that's part of understanding that we got to do this to stop this game, to even stay in the football game, given the fact that you do have a rookie quarterback.
Myles always splits wide to put leverage on tackles. Last week it felt like he was in about the wide 47.
There was a play where he was about 2 feet away from a wide receiver.
And I wonder if Myles has free reign to do what he wants. But I wonder if this week, like, hey, why don't you come back in this zip code of the line of scrimmage?
Just don't be in the muni lot. play. You know, what I'm saying?
Because
Just
it creates
be in
running.
bounds.
It creates running lanes if you're that far out. And also, this falls on Mason Graham. You talk about the loss of Malik Collins. Well, Mason, you're drafted 5th overall to stop the run. You better stop the run. And I just wonder, it's December. He's a rookie. Is there any sort of fatigue factor with him? This is the longest season he's ever had. And I guess we'll get the answer to that over the next couple of weeks.
I think the year that Michigan won the national championship,
Did he play 16?
I imagine he would have.
Well, all right.
I imagine he would
Now
have.
they do have that month off where they're getting ready for stuff.
And this would be what game for him? 14?
Yeah.
Because there's 4 left.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it have been 15 because it was only a 14 playoff at the time, right? When Michigan won?
I think
Michigan won the last
It
14
was a
playoff,
14,
correct.
but they probably also played the Big Ten championship game.
Right, so that's 13 and 15. So 15 games, yeah.
So,
But he's at that. To your point,
he's
he's
at
that point.
Yeah. And like Garrett said, they get a long break before in the college football playoff. There is no break now. It's week to week to week.
True.
And I mean, he's from Michigan. He's used to playing he's not. He played at Michigan.
Yeah.
So, but he is a California kid
Right.
who played at Michigan in college. He's used to the cold by now. But this is a different level of cold in Chicago in December than it is in Ann Arbor in November.
Yeah,
so
nobody's used to this.
Just little factors that I just take into account. I just wonder. But the Browns need more out of Mason Graham this week.
Mason Graham was drafted in the top 5, right?
Yeah.
He's got it's hit. I know he's a rookie, but we were lauding him, and then last week he was a non-factor. He's got to step up his game. Yeah. Your best defensive tackle, the guy you've been relying on, is out. You've got to do more. There's no doubt about it. He's got to do more. And the reason the Bears are so dangerous in the running game is because it's a 3-pronged attack. Like you got the veteran DeAndre Swift, who's not a superstar back, but he's been a consistently solid back in the NFL. Kyle Monungai from
Rutgers.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, Corey loves him. How'd I miss that?
from Rutgers. That's why I pointed to you.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And he's been really good. You look at his yards per carry, almost 5 yards per carry. He's been really good recently. And Caleb Williams is a threat in the running game, too. I believe he's 7th among quarterbacks. And a lot of the guys ahead of him are on bad teams. So it's like, well, they don't have the rest of, like the Chiefs don't have a good running game in addition to him. The Chargers haven't. But not when you have a quarterback that can run in combination with two, they don't have a superstar back, but 2 solid backs. That's a good position.
We got to go, so I'll be very quick.
Yeah.
They need more out of Mason Graham for sure.
Yeah.
He's got to step up. He's almost in the 2nd year now, if you look at the experience he's had. And also, to just tell Myles, our goal today is to stop the run.
Yeah.
If you get a sack, great. You've got 3 more games to get the record.
And that's why his game has been his best year. Not only the sacks, but he's had his best year against the run this year overall, except for last week.
Yeah. All right, we're taking a break. When we come back, we tell you who wins and how. It's our pre-written headline segment. Stay with us. We'll wrap up next. All right, time for pre-written headlines. Jason, you're the writer. You're first.
Yeah, it didn't take too long to come up with this one. It was pretty easy to me. Browns left out in the cold.
Oh.
Caleb Williams throws 2 touchdowns and Bears 24-20 win.
Got a high-scoring game.
Listen, last week shocked me in terms of the score and how much they ran.
Yeah. What's with the mountains? They're not playing in Colorado. They're playing in Chicago. What's happening?
All right. Here we go. Here's mine.
I didn't design it.
This was a stat that I found astounding this week. The Browns have never won at Soldier Field.
What?
Ever.
Really?
Last time they won in Chicago, they were playing at Wrigley in the 60s.
Oh, my God.
And that streak continues. They lose 20-10. I've got a little bit lower scoring game. I think the offense is going to take a notable step back in this one. Bull.
All right, looks like 3 straight people picking a loss. Oh, no!
Really?
Shedeur the Claws, the Bears.
Wow.
Sanders throws for 256 and 2 touchdowns in Brown's shocking upset over the Bears.
Wow.
The
I'm like
subheadline
G.
there,
Bush right now.
The subheadline there is the Kool-Aid Mafia has a new leader.
It does. Because believe it or not, I'm not.
Kool-Aid Mafia-esque.
Believe it or not, I'm not picking them to win the game. Man.
Oh!
Shedeur shines in a heartbreaking loss. Browns fans feel optimism about the future, but Bears edge the Browns with a late game.
That's the
heroic
perfect
touchdown.
scenario. Shedeur takes
That
another
is.
step.
And Browns
we lose
lose.
to help our draft. Okay, go ahead.
Mine real quick. Is it 2 for the Browns? It is not. I had the Browns defense going into hibernation. The Bears rushing attack carves up Cleveland's defense as Brown lose 24-16, despite 2 tutties from our guy Shedeur.
This has got to be the first time in 3 years that I've picked the Browns to win and nobody else did.
Yeah.
I think it's the
Gotta
only
be.
time it's ever happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we do have a new leader of the Kool-Aid Mafia.
Kool-Aid
His
Mafia.
name is
I
Adam
am.
the Bull.
I don't know how that happened.
You got to
I'm
come in
stunned.
rapping on Monday like he did. If they,
He got a
if they
Matador
win.
Kool-Aid
I'm
Mafia.
going to put watches on both.
Double time.
Two fists.
All right, we're taking a break. Enjoy the Browns game. Don't forget to watch the pregame show. It starts at the 2-minute warning.